incredibly exciting time because I have got another newly published author that I'm about to have a chat to, and it's just so satisfying and fulfilling for me to see all these incredible authors now actually fulfilling their dream and holding their published book in their hands. So I'm very excited to have all the way from New Zealand, Mandy Whyte. Hello, Mandy.
Good morning.
Good morning. It is morning as we do this interview. It's a beautiful morning here in Melbourne. What's it like over there? You're in Wellington at the moment, aren't you?
No, I'm in New Plymouth actually, and I'm just looking out over the harbour, and it's drizzly and miserable and a bit windy and cold.
Well, you better come over to Melbourne then. So we're not here to talk about the weather.
No, that's true.
We're here to talk about your new book. And so firstly, I want to say well done. Congratulations. It's an amazing achievement. And your book is called Dancing on a Razor's Edge. And I know we've already had this argument. You say dancing on a razor's edge. I say dancing. So we'll just agree to disagree on that. But Dancing on a Razor's Edge is all about your son's journey with drug addiction and your how you as a mother had to try and help and deal with that and cope with that. So Mandy, firstly, congratulations. It must have been a challenging book to write, but an incredibly satisfying one to get published.
Yeah, it's I think I touched base with you in 2010, which was when I first started to think about writing it, and then it wasn't until 2014 that I sat down and it finally did find its way onto paper. But it was it was really a retrospective of my son's life. That he's a ice addict, and it was an incredibly turbulent time for me. I was trying to do my job in different parts of the world, and I was trying to take care of him at the same time. And last night we had the launch of Dancing on a Razor's Edge, and many of the people that came along were parents of addicts, and each one of us shared this story about what it's like when your child is in the grip of an addiction. You wake up in the morning, you might have this one moment where you go, gosh, it's a beautiful day, then suddenly you remember, my child is still using drugs, they're still putting needles in their arms. So it was an important piece of work for me to help me come to terms with what was going on with my son, and it was important for him, and now it's going to be important for other people. So I'm really, really satisfied that this has hit the shelves.
Yeah, well, congratulations. It is a wonderful achievement. And I think I might get you to hold up the book just so people that haven't seen it can see it, because it's a beautiful cover. It's a lovely looking book. So do you want to just hold it up for everyone to have a look at?
Sure, here we go. And when you look at it, it does say Dancing on a Razor's Edge. Meth addicted son. And when I say mission, it really was an incredible mission. And I know that you took part in that journey at times and really picked me up and helped me keep going when I was at you put me under Viktor Frankl's book, the meaning of
man's search for meaning.
Man's search for meaning, and that was absolute star. That helped me immensely, and I've integrated that into the book as well.
It puts things into a bit of perspective, doesn't it?
Oh gosh, yes. Yeah.
But look, Mandy, so you have had you're a very successful person career-wise, and I know you're obviously from New Zealand originally, but you've lived in Indonesia. You've worked in a lot of the islands on the what sort of group of islands have you been working in on the?
At the moment, I'm in Solomon Islands, but I've previously worked in Samoa and PNG and different places, and
so you have been all. You not only are trying to deal with a pretty demanding career, also a drug addicted son, and then write this book. So even though it was 2010 when you decided to start writing the book, you might say 8 years seems like a long time, but it's actually not when you think about that. I guess you've gone through an incredible journey over that time, personally, also the relationship with your son, but also then to have a published book, which is now, I think, probably a better book than it would have been 5 years ago and more able to help people. What are your thoughts about that?
Definitely a better book. So when I sat down in 2014, I was really looking back at his life, and I wanted to find out, dig deep into what had happened in his life and school and work, and moving to Australia. He moved to Australia in about 2000, and what had gone wrong. So that was what it was about, and I was hoping I'd reach a point of resolution and feeling good. And actually, I stopped the book at that point. I thought, this is it. My son's always going to be an addict. I'm always going to be miserable, but I have to find inner peace. And then it took on a life of its own. Suddenly, I was back in touch with him. He had a girlfriend. I was able to get him into his life. I started to, I went and lived very close to him for a while. And then from there, it just took over, and the book became twice as big. But what I discovered was that I didn't have to sit back and accept that my son was going to be an addict for life, or that he was going to die, or that he was going to spend his days in prison. I actually could do something. And that's the most powerful thing about it. And it doesn't feel powerful that I wrote this. It feels powerful that I was compelled to write this.
Yeah.
And as a result, I was able to take direct action, take very effective action to take him out of Australia. At that time, he wasn't able to leave. He was on parole. I was able to take him out of Australia, get him into rehab. He got kicked out of rehab. I mean, it's a long and arduous journey. It truly is a mission. And then when there was just no options left, I rehabbed him at home, and I came up with a process to help him, and that just involved me not judging, not buying into his shame, not criticising, just allowing him to be, and bringing him home to his mother, helping him to heal, nurturing, loving, and slowly the pain that was behind his addiction, this intense shame and pain and anxiety and all sorts of issues, that was able to emerge, and slowly it receded. And the junkie, the monster that he'd become, that disappeared too. And the really beautiful man that my son is just emerged again, and he came back to life. He came back to me, and it was the most wonderful, wonderful feeling.
That's incredible, Mandy. And I'm not going to ask you about your son's life or why he went into addiction. I'm sure you cover that in the book. I do want to know, who's the book aimed at? Is it aimed at addicts? Is it aimed at parents of addicts? Is it aimed at support groups for addicts? Who's it targeting, or is it all of the above?
At first I thought it was for mothers, and then I realised there's a lot of fathers doing exactly the same that I've been doing. I met one last night at the launch. I thought it was good for addicts if they would read it, or former addicts and rehab workers, but everybody's picking it up. Started off saying, this is going to be a book for mothers and parents of addicts, families of addicts. And then they said, no, everybody's got to read this. This is for all of us. This is for all parents. We need to know this stuff. So that was incredibly satisfying to hear.
That is. So what was the biggest challenge you faced writing it?
The biggest challenge was that as I was writing, I was also having to deal with the pain of what I was going through. So it wasn't just about helping my son, it was about also addressing what was happening to me, because this grief and this trauma that I had to deal with. In some ways the book writing helped, but really I just had to keep plodding on, and I had to get to a resolution. I felt that if I kept writing, the answer would appear, that the book was somehow, it somehow had its own purpose, and that was to help my son and then and others. So I had to get to the end. It was a very strange phenomenon, but very.
And so how are you different now as a result of finishing it and getting it published? How do you feel like you've changed in that journey of writing and publishing this book?
I do feel a lot more peaceful. I feel that I'm a lot stronger as a person. I'm a lot more resilient. I don't sweat the small stuff as much as I might have. I don't put up with nonsense. A lot of the book is about me fighting the system and taking on people that really didn't want to listen, should have helped but wouldn't. who were obstacles when they should have been opening doors. I dealt with a lot of nonsense. I don't want to deal with that anymore. I just want to get on and do the job of helping people get their kids, sorted. There's no reason that addicts have to be addicts. There's no reason that you would leave a person who's had a road accident on the road and go, oh, isn't it sad? And let's just wait for them to ask for help. We don't need to do that. We can take very direct action and we can help these kids. So I feel I've got a purpose, and I really want to fulfill.
And that's amazing, isn't it? And I love that about writing, is that often, we think we're writing a book for other people, but really, that journey of writing the book is probably more to help us become the person that we need to become to make a difference in the world. And I think I've seen you over the last 4 years, Mandy, deal with so many demons and challenges and obstacles and things like that. And you are a different person. So congratulations. So you've done incredibly well. So well done.
It's not a lone journey, and as much as the system didn't work, there was people like you. There were lots of mothers. There were lots of addicts who came in and helped, and immense gratitude for them.
Yeah, good. So, what is if you were to say here one really strong message you want people to get out of reading your book, what would that message be? And it doesn't have to be about drugs. It doesn't have to be about addiction. What's one message that any person that decides to read your book will shines through in it? I've asked you a tough question, haven't I?
Yeah, you have. Yeah.
Sorry.
I could answer it in many ways. I think, intuition. Like we tend to we talk about intuition. We're a little bit light on it. I think it's a really deep thing. And I think it's really important to listen to that inner voice. I mean, intuition means inner tuition.
Yeah.
That inner voice that tells us to move forward, take action, different way that I help people. And she felt that might be at odds. And I said, my story is my story, and yours is different. And they're not incompatible at all. What it is about us finding our own way to a particular outcome. And there can be a very good outcome for our.
Yeah, that's a great message, and intuition is a very powerful thing, but most people just don't listen to it; they ignore it, and unfortunately, often it leads them down the wrong path. When we listen to our intuition, it will always lead us in the direction that we need to go, based on our values and what's important to us.
You have to be courageous to listen to your intuition. You have to, it's saying that you've got to believe in yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, you're going to dismiss it. So you have to be courageous. And the times that I've listened to it have been correct. The times that I've dismissed it and listened to other well-meaning, well-intentioned people, things have gone wrong. So no, it's yeah.
I think we can all tell. We've all got stories of when we decided to listen to someone else and not our own intuition, and how it's ended very, very badly. I think I could tell you stories, but I won't. So Mandy, from here, what's next? What's the plan now that you've launched your book? What do you want to do with this?
In Wellington, one in Napier. I'm also going down to Christchurch to talk to rehab workers, and what I'm trying to, I've in my mind, the next step is really to develop a program of support. It's one of the central tenets in my book is that the system is not integrated. It's not all facing the same direction. By the system I mean all the different helping agencies, the police, families, rehab centres, health, education, and so on. And I just want to see a readjustment, realignment of what people are doing so that they're working from the same sort of set of principles.
Yep.
And that they're a lot more effective. So that there's a seamless transition from somebody who's desperately ill to getting into detox, to getting into treatment, to getting into social support and housing, etc. And I don't think that it's an overthrow of the system that's needed. I think it's a readjustment of the paradigm on which it sits. So I'm going to be talking to anybody I can who would be prepared to come along on that journey with me.
Wonderful, Mandy. You're going to make a difference, absolutely. So congratulations again. Now, people are obviously going to want to buy your book because it's a wonderful, wonderful book. How do they do that?
Okay, at the moment it's only available in New Zealand, but the publisher...
What? That's outrageous.
Just relaunched themselves with the Cooper Press. So it was their first book launch. So they wanted a heavy hitting book to start with. So they got Dancing on a Razor's Edge, and they're selling it directly. They'll post anywhere in the world. So they have my own website, which is www.dancingonarazorsedge.com.
Okay, and can people purchase it from your website?
They can go into the Cooper Press.
Right,
website.
from your website.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Well, Mandy, thank you for spending some time with us. Congratulations on this new book and the beginning of what's going to be a wonderful, wonderful journey for you. I know not only is your book going to inspire people, but it's going to make an incredible difference, not just in New Zealand, but when it branches across as the New Zealanders call it, across the ditch to Australia and then beyond, I know it's going to have a global impact. So thanks for taking the time to speak to me, Mandy, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
We look forward to see all the success of Dancing on a Razor's Edge.